2020, that like so soon. That's like crazy. Like it's gonna be a new decade. Like I just think about 2009 to 2010, that was so long ago. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. So today I just wanted to do like a bit of an overview of 2019, and I actually have written down like 19 things I've done, or you know, things that I've learned in the year. So it's kind of like 19 things in 2019. Bit of a lame title, but I'll work on that. Got my things written out here, got a couple of notes. So that's pretty much it. So I hope you really enjoy this video, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and let me know what you would like to see me film next. So I started off the year at uni. So in January I was just at home. I wasn't really doing a lot, just sort of like preparing for my university placement. So that was sort of like my main thing for the year, is that I had my work experience for my fourth, and well, it was meant to be my final year of university. And if you don't know, I am studying a Bachelor of Nutrition and Dietetics. And then in February I started my work experience at a hospital, and I was meant to be there for 10 weeks. I actually only completed 8 out of 10 of those weeks, and there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, I found it extremely difficult. I haven't prior to that, I hadn't really worked before, so it was kind of going from like full-time studying from school through to uni to basically in a real life job scenario where I had to deal with situations which I wasn't prepared for in my mind. But that's just based on me not having worked before, so I had to deal with all of that, plus the content was very difficult, and you go to see a patient and help them with their eating or whatever it happened to be, and then you read that they've actually just passed away. So it was a lot of things like that which made it very difficult to deal with. And then also I was just very anxious during that time as well. Like my anxiety was very bad. I wasn't eating very well just because I was so nervous going every day. I vomited a couple of times. I only ate breakfast one day out of the 8 weeks I was there, just because I was waking up and my stomach was just so uncomfortable and I just couldn't eat. And yeah, I was vomiting. I think I lost 2 or 3 kilos during this 8-week period, just from not eating very well and just from stress. So that was sort of the first couple of months of the year, and that brought me up until April. During my third last week, I was like, no, I'm done. I just need a break. I can't keep doing this. It's interesting how much stress can affect your body, and anxiety, and it really did affect me. I was just really not in a good place, so I made the decision to stop doing that course, which I'm actually going to complete next year. From there, I had a month off, and then I went and did my second work experience placement, and this was more of a partnered thing, and it was more of a project. So I was doing a project on food allergies within a hospital, and I was looking at ways to improve allergy management within the particular placement site. So I had a research task, and during a 4-week period I had to do a literature review of the available evidence on a particular topic. And then the next thing I did was I did public health placement, and this was a 6-week placement, and during that time we had to find ways to increase the healthy options available for workers within that particular site. So my last thing I had to do was a 2-week block of flow on from my research, and I had to plan a project to fill in a gap in the research which I had discovered during the literature review. And then that was the last thing I did. So that was in November, and that was sort of the wrap up of my placement. That is the first thing well, basically the main sections of 2019. The second thing was I went to Europe. I went to Europe for 3.5 weeks with my best friend, and we went to London, Paris, Rome, Naples, Positano, Athens, Mykonos and Santorini. And that was an amazing trip. I loved it. First time being in Europe, and it was a really good experience. Like I'm so glad I went, so glad I was able to go. And that was just a really fun couple of weeks there. So that's the second thing. Third thing is I turned 21. In June I turned 21. So I feel like that's quite a big thing for a lot of people. I feel like it's like an old school thing, like, yeah, cool, I'm 21. The fourth thing is 5 weeks ago I moved out of home for the first time. So that's where I am now living with my boyfriend an hour away from home, and that was a really big thing for me, moving out of home for the first time, and I'm so happy to be here. Like, I'm really enjoying. But at this point, I am definitely prioritizing my personal growth and things like that, and focusing on myself rather than money. Like, I am trying to save as much as possible. Like, if I can put away $50 a week, I will. But that's pretty much it. So I'm just really focusing on what I need and not on money at this point. Obviously I would like to start saving money and start growing my bank account, but I think the life skills I'm going to get from moving out of home is definitely much more beneficial to me at this point in time. So the fifth thing is weight loss. So if you don't follow me on Instagram or haven't really like known my past, I gained 15 kilos last year within a very small amount of time. So I went from being about 60 kilos to being 75 within a couple of months, and during that time I was taking antidepressants for my anxiety, and I gained quite a lot of weight quickly. And so this year I have been focusing on losing that weight. I lost 5 kilos at the end of last year, and I'm now sitting at about 68 kilos. I really am starting to feel more comfortable in my clothing and everything like that, and also just have a better relationship with my body. Weight loss in general, I've really tried not to focus on it as much, and like, I've noticed that when I was really focusing on it, it was a lot harder. And now it's sort of like in the background, I'm thinking about it and I'm making smart choices so I can lose weight, but it's not the be all and end all. So that brings me on to my sixth point, which is my eating disorder. So this kind of goes like hand in hand. I think I'm going to do a whole video about this, actually, my history of disordered eating. And when I say eating disorder, I mean binge eating. So I don't purge, I don't force myself to vomit. I'm not anorexic, but I do have a tendency to, one, eat too much, and two, have these binge meals. So I don't really have them as much anymore, but it even goes back to when I was 6 years old, having these issues with body image and eating. I think I'm going to save that for another video and like really break that down, because I think that needs a lot more depth than what this can happen. I started my first job this year. A couple of weeks ago I got my very first job, and I've done my work experience, but I haven't actually had a proper job, and I'm 21, and I think for a lot of people that seems quite strange that I've never actually worked. But for me, I was focusing on my studies and that was my main thing. But now looking back at it, I really do wish I had started working earlier. I really just feel like I have grown so much in these couple of weeks, and even with work experience throughout this year. But in saying that, I am really proud of myself for getting my first job, and I'm going really well with it. So that's sort of like all the things that I've technically done in 2019, like things that are like tangible. And then the other things I want to talk about were like things that I've learned. So the first one is podcasts. I got into podcasts really hard this year. I have about 3 or 4 ones that I'm really enjoying, that I listen to religiously. Number one, The Mindset Mentor. So his podcasts are fantastic. I love his stuff. They're really short episodes, maybe anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes. So they're really great short snippets of information. They're to the point. So his ones are all about personal growth and everything to do in that realm. The second one is Rise and Conquer, and this is by Georgie Stevenson, and she does a lot of health things and also business and also mindset, things like that. And then the last one, The Healthy Hustlers. So they're the 3 podcasters that I listen to the most. So another thing that I've learned in 2019 is actually quite a big one, and that is patience. Knowing how to be patient is such a big thing. Like the past couple of years, I've just been very frustrated with the way my life has been. I've always really wanted to strive for more. There's so many things that I've wanted to do, like how I've wanted to live my life just weren't matching up with what I was doing at the time. And I was very frustrated, and this created a lot of anxiety for me. And what I have learned definitely throughout this year is that things take time. And when I mean they take time, it doesn't take days or weeks or months. Sometimes things can take years. And it's not until you look back on your year that you've had, or the the past couple of years and how all of these small things that you've done have led you to the point of where you are that you think, I know why it took so long. Like, change does not happen overnight. It really doesn't, and it takes a long time. Also, incidental exercise kind of goes hand in hand with my eating disorder and my weight loss. So a lot of this year I spent sitting down, who I was at the start of the year. I have grown up office jobs where I spent 8 hours at a desk at everyone around, and by the end of the day I was exhausted, and the last thing I wanted to do was go to my job. I have to talk to people every second of the day, and like, I'm quite an introvert having teenagers, so I do all of those things. Like, we've got stairs and down the stairs tend forcing myself to do that. My legs are gonna feel it. Like, I feel like my muscles have become stronger just from doing housework, which is like the craziest thing. I go for walks, I go for runs if I can, but also with my job, and if I'm standing up for that long, incidental exercise is definitely a good way to lose weight. Like, if you like gardening, go garden for an hour a day, and I didn't really realize that really until this year, and that's been a really big thing for me. Growing from the hard times. So a lot of things this year were very difficult, and I did struggle, especially with my university placement and starting my first job and everything like that. Putting myself in situations where I felt so uncomfortable, and you think, what am I doing here? Like, what is this even for? And now looking back on it from my perspective now, and it really did change me. So I think the point to take away from this is some of the hardest things you have to go through in life means that you will have the most growth from it. So even if it can be really tough at times, you will come out of it so much more wise and so much more capable than you ever thought you could be. So the next thing is that there is a solution to everything. So there's been a couple of times in my life where I just think this is just how it is going to be. There's nothing I can do about it. Like, I just have to learn to deal with this. And those things, in particular for my life and my situation, one would be my hyperhidrosis. Basically, it just means that I sweat more than I should. I was that kid in kindergarten who wore socks with sandals because my feet were sweaty. But at the start of the year, I actually went to a dermatologist, and he showed me a couple of things that I could do that actually do work. And so I get Botox injected into my underarms every 4 months, and that completely stops all sweating during that time. I also have this it's kind of like electroshock kind of things. I like place my hands in, it kind of has all these little shocks on my hands and my feet, and that stops the sweating there as well. So there's that. And then also I am constantly tired, so I'm like always feeling tired. It's just something that I just thought was just my personality. Like, I always thought, oh God, I'm just lazy, because I'm just sleeping all the time, or I just, if I get home from work, or I get home from uni, I just want to sleep. I can't be bothered doing anything, looking at all my friends, and they're just like always on the go. I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, you must be so motivated. And I finally figured out that I have low iron. So since taking my supplements every single day, I have so much more energy. I'm doing like everything I want to be doing. And so the main moral of the story that I think people can take away is that things always have a solution. You might not be able to see it at the start, but these are 2 examples that I thought, I'm just going to have to deal with this the rest of my life. This is how it is. But I have actually found solutions for them. So this is just like a bit of a quote. So I feel like I am really bad with self-comparison. I've definitely gone through stages where I just compare myself to others, what other people are doing, at my age. Oh, I should have already had a house, or I should, people have got children, people have these crazy successful businesses. And then I also think, people are going to be looking at me and be like, she's not doing enough, she's not, she's not as successful as other people. But I think something to take away from this year that I've learned is that people don't care about what you're doing as much as you think they do. You think people are judging you, doing all these things. People really aren't caring about you like you care about yourself. You might be overanalyzing what you're doing, but people are thinking about themselves. and not you. It sounds kind of harsh, but like it's kind of true. Like people are focusing on themselves, what they want to be doing, so don't spend time worrying about what people are thinking about you, because they're probably not thinking about you as much as you think they are. So another thing is writing down your goals is so important in achieving them, and like actually writing them. Don't type them, don't put them on your phone. Writing them down is so worthwhile. Podcast I listened to, The Mindset Mentor, he was talking about this study which was done in Harvard students in I think the 1970s or the 1990s, but they did this kind of longitudinal study where they looked at the class there and they got everyone to think about their goals. The 3% of people who wrote down their goal were more successful 30 years later than the 97% of the other people combined. So 97% of people, if you put all their success together, were less successful than the 3% of people who wrote down their goals. So moral of the story, if you know your goal, write it down. So another thing that I've learned in 2019 is that I catastrophize things a lot. So that basically, from my understanding, is that I think about a situation and my mind just jumps all over the place thinking of all the worst case scenarios and things that could possibly go wrong, and then I get really anxious about it. So when I'm in a situation, I think, what is the worst that could happen? And then usually it's not as bad as you think it is. So say if, in my university placement that I didn't complete, what was the worst case scenario there? Well, I just stop it at the time and I go and complete it next year, where I'm so much more prepared. I've had a whole year of other placements, whole year of working, and I go back next year and I'm so much more prepared. And so that's the worst case that could happen, and that really isn't that bad. So ask yourself, when you're starting to stress and things are piling on, what's the worst that could happen? Asking for help when you need it. So this is such a big one. So during my university placement, I definitely feel like I should have asked for help from my uni placement support people sooner. Definitely would have helped me with how I was feeling and just everything that I was experiencing whilst on that placement. And also I go to a psychologist, so I've been seeing her for 2 years now, and it is such an important thing for me to go and do, and I really have benefited so much from going to see her. So if you're struggling with anything, go talk to your doctor, go see a psychologist. There are so many things that you can do to help yourself, and if you are struggling, go ask for help and go get the help that you need, because it's something that I didn't do with university that I wish I had done, that I think it definitely would have helped me with my experience there. So another thing is not conforming to normal. So this basically means to me starting YouTube. So for so long I've been thinking about kind of what career path I want to go down, and I really do enjoy food. I enjoy things around food, and that's why I am studying nutrition and dietetics. I've definitely learned that doesn't necessarily mean being a dietitian for me. It's something that I have been studying, but I also feel like doing these videos where I do cooking videos and food styling and things along that line is definitely much more what I enjoy. I'm really enjoying it. So I think not conforming when people say you should go to university and you should study something really hard. If you don't actually want to do it, you shouldn't have to do it. I really feel like since I've started YouTube, I'm just loving every minute of it. I love filming, I love taking the time and editing and brainstorming new videos and all of that. So I feel like it's definitely been a good decision for me to start this, and I hope everyone's really enjoying it, because I am loving every second of it. So another thing I've learned is the power of saying no. So this could be if you don't want to go and do something, if you should be able to say no, and definitely throughout this year I've said no on many occasions to things that I just really don't want to go and do. And it is hard at the start, but if you do it enough times, it does get easier, I promise. I know it's easier said than done, but it's just something that I've learned and wanted to share. So the last thing, so I think this is hopefully the 19th thing, so I've spoken through everything. So that is, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it. So this is in really stressful situations, even with assignments where I'm just like so stressed out, think gonna be like this big drama. But if you just put it into context, it does really help. So I really like reminding myself of that 5 years, 5-minute kind of ruling with that. So that's everything for today. I hope you really enjoyed this sort of different style video for me. Yeah, I really just wanted to sit down and just talk about, like my year in recap, and then also kind of lessons I've learned, things I've done, and just how I felt about it all. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. See ya.